We're going to go through a previous test that was used in 2016, and just to partly for revision, but also just to emphasize that the questions in Access are pretty standard. You're going to get a question based on a table, you're going to get a question based on a form, you're going to get some queries, and you're going to get some reports. So those are the four big sections that you'll get in any database question or test, and we're going to go through them one by one. Okay, first thing is always make sure that you've got the correct database open. It's Sales 2016, and they ask us to go to and always check this correct table. It's quite easy to go to the wrong table and make some changes which you're not supposed to. Okay, remember that one thing that all the things have in common, the tables, the queries, the forms, and the reports, is that you can view them in data view or you can view them in a design view. Now, in most cases, you're going to need to go into design view. So I've got this table over here. It's the one I need to change. I'm going to go into design view, and I'm going to have a look at the various options that they're going to ask for here. The first question they ask for is change the properties of the surname field. So locate that field. Okay, first of all, we find the field, and then we're going to say, right, it must be changed to a maximum of 60 characters that it can accept. Okay, there's the surname field over there, short text, and if we're going to have a look down further down below, yes, kind of where we sort of can customize and change our things around. So over here is the field size, and if we look at the field size, that's the maximum number of characters that we can enter in the field. Okay, so that's obviously what we're looking for, is we want the field size to change to 60. Please note that doesn't mean you have to enter 60, it doesn't mean you have to enter any, it just means that you can't enter more than 60. Okay, so that's a nice straightforward one mark question. And we go to the next question, make it optional for the user to enter. Okay, optional is the opposite of compulsory or required. Okay, so compulsory and required mean the same thing. Optional means you don't have to. So for the user, we're saying we must make it set the options so the user doesn't have to enter a value in the initial field. So we'll go back to our initial field, and we'll start to look down here, and let's go and see the properties that we've got here. At the moment, it is required to enter a value. Okay, and you can see the text over here telling you what this property is about. Required data entry, we say yes. You can simply change it to no. Okay, so from the drop down you can select no, or you can just type in no. Okay, another straightforward one mark question. Right, they say correct the given validation rule of the annual field to match the given. Okay, right. Let's just sort out what's going on first of all. We're going to go to the annual field. We're going to scroll down and go to the annual field. Okay, and we're going to say over here, sorry, I've just put it in there by mistake. You must enter a value between, must enter a value between 25,000 and 200,000 inclusive. Okay. What is the difference in the validation rule and the validation text? Okay, the validation rule is a way of telling you what values can be entered in that field. Okay, so Access says these are the values that you may enter the field. And the validation text, if you like to think, is the error message that pops up when the user enters one that's not valid. So they're saying you must enter a value between 25,000 and 200,000. So that's just simply greater than or equal to 25,000, please no rand signs or anything like that, greater than 25,000, and it must also be less than or equal to 200,123. Okay, so that will correspond with the validation text is what they actually asked for. So that's the error message which they gave, and they said, right, based on that error message, go and put in the validation rule. And there are various ways of entering validation rules. You know, if it's for a class, you could say S or E or N or I, etc. Or you could use these things that you used to from Access queries, like we've got over here for the various rules that you need to set up. So greater than or equal to 25,000 and less than or equal to 200,000. Just remember to decide whether it includes less than or equal to, and just remember the less than sign comes first before, and you don't swap them around. And inclusive means that it must include the 25,000 and it must include the 200,000, hence the greater than equal option that we've got going there. Four nice one mark question here. Change the properties of the annual field so it displays in a RAND format. Okay, so we go to annual and we go around and we see, right, what properties can we change. At the moment it's in standard format. Let's just go and see if we can put it into currency format. So there's currency in RAND format, so that if we were to put a value in that field, it would display in the currency required, in this case rands. Add a new field called photo between the annual and the cell phone fields. Okay, so between them we need to add a new field called photo, and it must store a photograph of the employee in that field. So photo is the new field, and it must go between annual and cell number. Okay, let's just scroll down to see where we're working with. So it has to go in between these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click there. Could have added a primary key if I needed it to any of the fields, not asked in this question. And I want to add photo, and now I need to decide on the type. Okay, so by now I think a lot of the questions you're used to is that it's an OLE object. Okay, if you want to store a photo. OLE object, you don't need to add it into the description. That's just a guideline for the previous questions that you've had. So there we go, that's done and dusted. Right, next, add an input mask to the cell number field to ensure that the user has to enter a valid cell phone number. Okay, right, so we're dealing with an input mask here. In other words, that's the pattern of how this information is entered. In other words, must it be letters? Must it be numbers? Is it compulsory? Is it optional? So in this case, what we require is the user to enter, and we know from a cell phone number it consists of 10 separate digits. So we want the user to enter 10 separate digits, and it must be in the cell phone number field. So I'm going to scroll down to the cell phone number field, and it's over there, and I want to go and look at, let's scroll down a little bit further down here and have a look. Okay, what I want to do for this then is I've got my field going here, but what I need to do is to try and sort it out so that the input mask, I need to find the input mask for the cell number field. Input mask, why am I not seeing it? Okay, there was a little trick thrown in here that caught me. I couldn't find the input mask for the cell phone number. Then I had a look to say, right, well, that's the cell number. That shouldn't be a hyperlink type. Okay, that can't be a hyperlink type. It could just be short text. The field size we don't have to change it, but we could change the field size to 10, and now I've got my input mask. Okay, and this is a pattern for that. The great news is now that in every test or exam they will give you that list of input mask characters. By now you probably know a few of them. That, for example, the fact that a compulsory digit is a 0. So what I'm needing in this case is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that just says to access. Okay, when you enter something into this field, you can only enter digits, and you have to enter 10 of them. Not an option, you've got to enter 10 of them. Okay, and then a couple of the other input mask codes you'll get to know. For optional digits it's 9, compulsory letters it's L, but I say you don't have to learn them, they'll be given to you in a table. Right, that's all there was to question 1, but I thought I'd just sneak in 2 other questions here that are not actually on this question paper but weren't asked, so I'm just going to put them in here. Let's just say each employer also had a division that they worked in, and that could be the north, south, east or west division, and I wanted the user to be able to choose from a drop-down list box so that they could just click on north, south, east or west. Right, to do that I would use my lookup wizard further down here, lookup wizard, and then it'll come up with this dialog. Important, I will type in the values that I want the user to have, and I'll just click next. And right here I'll just quickly type in the I'm being a bit lazy, so I'm just going to type in N, S, E and W for north, south, east and west, and next. Nothing there that I need to do. I'll just finish it. Okay, now don't freak out that that's not going to, you'll see that not in the design view, but you will see that in the data view the person could choose a division. And the other thing that we didn't have asked here was the default value. In other words, that's the value that's given for all new records. So for example, if we wanted to make it on the salary, for example, we would go and say, right, most people earn an annual salary, or when they start in the company, of a particular value. Let's just say they earn 25,000 to start off with. Then I could make the default value for all new records a fixed value of 25,000. Okay, it doesn't change in existing records, and that's pretty much what you could ever get asked in tables.